Welcome to the show, folks. It's West Pruitt, Four Star Sports Media. You are at the Sports Buffet. Of course, you're here to get full of sports, right? Because we got nothing but a plate full for you on this Friday morning, October 18th, 2024. We're going to start with a Great American Conference top 10 battle that will take place in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, as the number one ranked Harding Bison. Take a trip over to Arkadelphia to take on the number 9 ranked Ouachita Tigers. It's going to be a battle, and we're going to dive all into it to start the show. Then next, after that, we'll get into some NHL. We'll take a skate around the league, look at some scores, and then we're going to dive into a St. Louis Blues win as they got their first win at home last night in a thriller in overtime. We'll look at the win, hear from some players as well as we heard from them in post game, and then to close the show, we'll look at some NFL odds, look at some NFL spreads, storylines, bet lines, and more. All that and a lot more today on the Sports Buffet right here on the Four Star Sports Media Network. All right, folks, welcome in. We appreciate everybody watching and listening. It's going to be a jam-packed show. I'm trying to keep it down just a little bit. It's going to be a jam-packed show today. Well, like I said, we're going to start with the Great American Conference. But before we do that, let's ask the burning question of the show, which is who is the best college football team in Arkansas? Now, we asked this question because if you look around the state at all levels of football, we're not just saying Division One here. If you look around the state at all levels of football, there's great football teams all around the state. Which team's the best? When you look at it from a statistical standpoint, maybe a record standpoint, or you can look at it from a Division One standpoint, Division Two, whatever. Who is the best? Sound off. Let us know. Shoot us comments in the comment section if you're on YouTube. If you're on um, X, we appreciate you watching. Retweet, give us your answer, tag us in the tweet. But yeah, big time stuff. But the question is very simple: who's the best team in the state of Arkansas? Is it the Razorbacks? Is it the Tigers or the Bison? So we're getting ready to talk about here shortly. As you know, if you need any tickets, tickets, doesn't matter what it is for, a concert, a play, a college football game. If you want to come up to Fayetteville and watch Arkansas LSU tomorrow night, big time football game happening all around college football. If you need tickets, find any ticket $50 or more. When you do, type in that promo code on your screen right there, Four Star Sports Media. It is guaranteed to save you $20 on that ticket purchase. And you can tell your friends because they can use it as well. We use SeatGeek here at Four Star Sports Media, and we want you to do that as well because at the end of the day, it's the best ticket supplier on this planet. So always use SeatGeek, and when you do, tell your friends. Four Star Sports Media will save you $20. All right, let's get into some great American Conference talk as we are talking all things Great American Conference football, but specifically a top 10 battle in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, as the hometown number 9 Ouachita Tigers will host the number 1 Harding's Bisons for a top 10. It is the game of the Great American Conference. Ouachita and Harding are two of the 13 remaining undefeated teams at the Division II level heading into this week, which is week 7. As we know, the Great American Conference in this D2, there are no bye weeks. It's 11 straight. All you do is just play football. Just boom, 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 week after week. I love it. Coming into this week, Ouachita will get a 40-0 win over East Central last week in homecoming, and the Bisons would knock out Northwestern Oklahoma State at home last Saturday by a final score of 62-0. I mean, when you look at this team, obviously Harding, defending national champions, still undefeated, incredible football team. So let's start with just some little bit of history between these two. So it's the 65th all-time meeting between the Tigers and the Bison. Harding currently does hold the lead at 34, 26, and 4 games played in Arkadelphia. Harding also holds that lead 16-15 to 2. So if you're Ouachita, you're looking to tie it up at home. Neither team has won more than two in a row since Harding posting a 10-game win streak from 1991 to year 2000. Harding has, or Ouachita has never won more than two in a row in the series. Since the turn of the century, 13 of the 22 meetings between these two rivals have been decided by one score, with 8 of those games decided by 3 points or less. That's big time football, folks. And if you sit back and you watch, if you've watched these two teams at all, we've watched both very, very deeply, actually, as well as dug into these stats. So obviously we know what Harding does, right? They line up, they run triple option, they run wing T, they run numerous option, spread option formations. And it's going to be the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. They're going to lull you to sleep with that dive with Dela Cruz. But if you're Wichita, one of the first storylines we're going to talk about here is the Harding rushing attack, or Harding attack in general, offensively, versus the Wichita defense, which is a defense you can't sleep on, by the way. So Harding right now has 51 total touchdowns. That is 8 more than any other program in Division II football. I'll say that again. Harding University, Harding, the Bison, 51 total touchdowns. That is 8 more than any other Division II football program. Currently, they're averaging 61 points per game. That is first in Division II and the Great American Conference. Total offense, they're averaging right now 554 yards per game. It is first in the Great American and second in D2. Passing, yes, I said passing, 93.8 yards a game. That's 12th in the Great American Conference, 155th in Division II. Now, people may go, oh, gosh, they're 155th in passing. But wait, there's more. Rushing stats, 461 yards per game. That's first in Great American Conference Division II, and honestly, probably even all of college football. I haven't dug into that. They're averaging 7.56 yards a rush. That's first in the Great American Conference and Division II. And they have 37 rushing touchdowns, which is also first in the Great American Conference and Division II. It starts and stops really with the quarterback, Cole Keelan, number 15, 6 foot, 200 pounds, junior out of Harrison, Arkansas. This kid's amazing. Okay, this kid is literally one of the. He's the only Harding player to ever have 20 plus passing and rushing touchdowns. Currently, right now, he's 30-2 as a starter. This kid wins football games. He has 8 passing touchdowns this year, 4 rushing. His 8 is fourth in the Great American Conference. His rushing is also fourth in the Great American Conference. This kid has composure. He has mastered this offense. You have to look out for the pass. If you're Watchdog, we're going to get to it. You have to respect the Harding pass. As hard as it is with this offense, you have to respect it. When you look at the offense, how it operates, their bell cow, their motor is their fullback, Blake Dela Cruz, number 26, senior out of Springfield, Missouri. The 205-pounder has 63 carries for 329 yards, 10 total touchdowns. That's third in the GAC and in D2. When I say GAC, I'm referring to Great American Conference. Last year, this kid just did incredible things, and he's on pace to do it again this year. It's going to become very boring. If you're watching this football game on Saturday night, if you're watching this game, you're going to see that fullback dive no telling how many times in a game. And it's going to be Blake Dela Cruz 90% of the time. But on the other side of that, you got slot backs, Braden J, number 10, 5'8", 180, senior out of Lancaster, Texas. Got 21 rushes on the season, 403 yards, 19 yards per rush, 6 touchdowns. He's averaging roughly 67 yards per game on the ground, and he's more dangerous through the air, really. 4 catches, 199 yards, He's averaging 33 yards a catch. His 3 touchdowns leads the Bisons through the air in touchdown. Braden Jay is a guy you've got to look out for. Number 10, he's a slot back. This offense, like I said, it's very, very, very complex. This offense is not easy to stop. You look at the Division I level, you see teams like Army and Navy right now, for example, running a very similar style offense as Harding. This triple option is not easy to stop. Braden is sixth in Great American, sixth in the conference in rushing yards, and fifth in rushing touchdowns. He is the career leader in yards per rush with 13.73, fifth in touchdowns with 29, 15th in rushing yards with 1,771 yards. And last year, in a huge win by Harding, as they ended up stopping a Ouachita, I believe it was 18-game winning streak. He ran for 131 yards, 2 touchdowns last year in Searcy. But now, when you flip that switch and you look at it from a Ouachita perspective, and you look at their defense, let's go see how Ouachita can counter that Harding attack. So let's look at it from a defensive perspective for the Tigers. Currently, they're averaging 112 yards per game. That's first in the Great American Conference and Division II. They're averaging only allowing 64.7 yards passing per game. It's also first in the GAC and D2. Rushing yards, they're only averaging 48.2 yards a rush a game. That's first in the GAC, third in D2. Got 17 sacks on the season. Their sack leader, Mr. Gage Price from Hamburg, Arkansas, senior 6'3", 285, number 55 for those of y'all wanting to find him on the field. He's a nose guard. He leads the team with 4 sacks in 2024. He got 19 tackles, 9 solo, 10 assisted. He's got 7 tackles for loss. That's impressive. That's very, very impressive. The interception wise, this team's solid at all 3 levels. When you look at it, you've got Gage Price. You've also got Dre Hall as a defensive lineman, number 9. He's got 6 tackles on the season, 3 tackles for loss. He's the team sack leader. As he's got 3 sacks, but number 2 on the team in sacks. But he's also got 2 quarterback hurries. So when you look at it from a defensive line perspective, and you look at Ouachita, these two guys alone can change offenses. But you look at it, I mean, I brought up nose tackle or nose guard for a reason. Gage Price is going to be that guy that's going to be in that gap that Dela Cruz is coming through. At the same time, Dre Hall is probably going to be in on the other side. So these 2 guys have got to perform well this week. They've got to understand, yes, it's going to be the same thing, but your eyes can't get fooled. This is where the next 2 levels of this defense really come into play this week with the discipline, the eye discipline. There's a lot of eye candy with this offense. There's a lot of motions. There's a lot of moving back and forth, going back, stopping, moving. The linebackers and the defensive backs for Ouachita this week have got to play smart, have got to play sound football, and they've got to tackle well. The whole defense has to tackle well, but specifically in that second and third level. Linebacker Clark Griffin, number 24, 33 tackles on the year, 11 solo, 22 assisted. That it's this kid has got to be just a weapon. He's got to be a weapon. Sorry, I was actually giving you the wrong stats there for defense. I apologize. Let me get down here and look at Ouachita. My bad. Ouachita is second in the Great American Conference at 8 points per game. They have 235.7 total offense yards per game. They average 160 yards through the air. They only give up 75 on the ground. Ouachita has 5 interceptions, 17 sacks. When you look at it from an offensive perspective, from a defensive perspective, they're one of 5 teams in the nation with the scoring defense average still in the single digits. Ouachita ranks second nationally at 8 points allowed per game. Ouachita is also back on top nationally in the tackles for loss category. They had 10 tackles for loss last week against ECU and averaged 10.7 negative plays per game. They have also totaled 64 tackles for a combined loss of 229 yards. Defensive end Mikey Gonzalez, number 0, 6'4", 240 senior out of Tampa, Florida, is the second. It is second in the Great American Conference and fifth nationally in sacks with 6. He's 15th nationally in tackles for loss and has an average of 1.7 tackle for loss per game. In 2024, he has 24 or 25 tackles, 9 solo, 16 assisted. So those those three levels for the defense has to play solid for Watchdog. They have to. If they have to tackle soundly, they have to do everything correctly to stop this offense. But when you look at it from Watchdog on an offensive perspective, not only the question is can they stop Harding, but can they score on Harding? You get all starts and stops with quarterback Eli Livingston, 6'2", 205, number 14 on the field, senior out of Batesville, Arkansas. He leads the Great American Conference and ranks third nationally in passing efficiency with a quarterback rating of 182.5. He also leads the Great American Conference in yards per completion with 16.9 and points responsible with 16.8. Not only has he been extremely efficient as a passer, but he's been I, the word instrumental is used. I mean, he has been vital to me in this Watchtower rushing attack. And let's not sleep on this Watchtower rushing attack because it's quite impressive, to be honest with you. Excuse me. So when you look at him, he leads the team in rushing yards with 411 total yards. It's 82.2 yards a game. Um, at the same time, they rank eighth nationally in red zone offense, scoring 91.2% of the time. This team is really, really, really dangerous. This team's really, 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 really good. Um, do I think they can stop them? I think they can. I think when you look at it, I mean, like I said at the onset of this, when you look around the history of this series, these games have been back and forth. This is where I think the special teams can really come into play. And when you look at Ouachita and you look at their special teams, it's one of the top units in the country at numerous things when it comes to special teams. They lead the Great American Conference and rank second nationally in kickoff returns with an average of 31.2 yards a return. Carter McElhaney is also a wide receiver. He leads the Great American Conference and is 10th in the nation individually at 32 yards a return. They're also third in the Great American Conference and sixth in the nation in kickoff return defense, allowing opponents an average of only 13.8 yards a return. Watchdog also leads the Great American Conference and is second in the nation in net punting with an average of 43.9 yards a punt. Tom Weston, the punter, leads the Great American Conference and ranks fourth in the nation individually with an average of 46 point yards a punt. Overall this year, he has 14 punts down inside the 20-yard line, 7 of at least 50 yards. He also had a career-long 76-yard punt in Week 5 versus Southeastern, and they lead the nation in punt return defense as they hold opponents to a negative average of 4.5 yards a return. Punt returns, you got a young man named Connor Flanagan back there, senior, absolutely incredible, incredible player. Mr. Do It All. We learned in preseason that also had some offers from some D1 schools. Coach Knight told us that preseason, speaking with him on the Great American Conference Football Media Day. But when you look at Flanagan, right now, Ouachita leads the GAC and ranks 8th nationally in punt returns with an average 18 yards per return. Connor Flanagan leads the GAC and ranks third nationally, or third individually, and from a national perspective, with an average of 19.7 yards return. You look at all these factors: special teams, offense, defense. The Harding attack versus the Ouachita defense is really the one that everybody's really watching. But I think a storyline that nobody's really, or a couple of storylines that nobody's really speaking about, is that you can't give Harding additional opportunities or extra help, right? So if you're Ouachita, who averages 51 yards a game through penalties, I'm not saying they're getting that. I'm saying they're giving the other team 50 yards a game. You can't give Harding 50 yards a game. You give Harding 50 yards a game, you don't win this game. You have to play clean, sound football if you're Ouachita. You've got to feed the weapons on offense. We talked about Eli Livingston. We talked about Connor Flanagan. We talked about McElhaney. We did not talk about Kendall Givens. Young man is an incredible running back for Ouachita Baptist. And I will tell you this. There is a lot of backs out there that are good, right? But this young man is not only good on the field. I mean, we actually spoke with the running backs coach, and the running backs coach told us as good as he is on the field, and he's got 6 games, he's got 94 rushing attempts, 405 yards through the air. I'm sorry, on the ground. Average of 4.1 yards a rush, 7 touchdowns on the year, is averaging roughly 64 yards a game rushing. Second leading rusher on the team, but behind obviously who we talked about earlier, Eli Livingston. When you look at the Tigers offensively, they've rushed for over 1,300 yards, 1,347 yards a game, averaging 204 a game on the ground. Kendall was also 2 for 2 passing, 100%, 2 for 2 passing, 1 touchdown, average of 7 yards, along with 43. So, I mean, but you look at him on the receiving, he can do numerous things. Then you look at him on the receiving side, just getting started, but he's only got 2 catches, 20 yards, average of 3.3. But you look at what this young man is able to do. You look at the amount of carries. He's got 94 carries. That is 43 more carries than anyone else on this roster. And we talked to the running backs coach at Ouachita, and he told us as good as he is on the field, I can't say enough with how much he's an incredible player, young man off the field. We're gonna have more on it coming up. We got a piece coming out on Kendall specifically, and who is Kendall Givens. So we're gonna dive a lot more into Kendall and others on this team. We'll be doing a piece about Connor Flanagan, Eli Livingston, and more. But when you look at this Ouachita offense, they're gonna have to lean on the weapons around them, and at the same time, guys like Nate Tinbarge, 30 catches, guys like Lyric Treadwell, and others. This team, I'm telling you, this Ouachita team's got a chance. They have to play clean football. And they have to embrace what is going to be an absolutely electric atmosphere at Cliff Harris Stadium. An absolute incredible atmosphere. They've got to embrace it. Now, let's be honest. Harding is going to travel, and they're going to travel well. We know this. They made some changes to the stadium recently. They did some upgrades over to that road side, the opponent side of the field. It looks great. It looks incredible. Last I've seen, they've got a bunch of new lighting, things like that. But the stands on the north side of the stadium, which are the visiting fan stands, they've been raised up. They've been moved closer to the sidelines, and they've been modernized to improve the experience. So you look at it. I mean, you can go watch the game. You can go pay attention to the game. You can go listen to the game. I mean, they're one of the big Watchdog Football Radio Network is massive. It's syndicated all across the state. They do an incredible job on their YouTube page. You can go check it out tomorrow night or Saturday. Yeah, tomorrow night. It's going to be an incredible football game. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And it's 2 teams that are 2 of the best teams in the state of Arkansas. I mean, some people would say they are the 2 best teams in the state of Arkansas. But speaking of Kendall Givens, he is a semifinalist for the prestigious William V. Campbell Trophy Award, which is the college football premier scholarship athlete award. Essentially, this award is the Heisman Trophy of D2 football. He's one of 18 finalists from the Division II ranks, and the only one on the list represented by as a member of the Great American Conference. The finalists will be announced coming up on October 23rd, and we will have more on Kendall as that is being chased. And speaking of chasing, head coach Todd Knight is chasing a storyline right now. He's chasing Coach Buddy Benson's all-time record, as he is now 4 wins away from tying the program all-time coaching wins. Buddy, I'm sorry. Todd Knight has done an amazing job speaking with him in preseason and how just he loves this program. He's been around this program for ages, as we know. But I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't watched these two football teams, Harding's right now currently riding a 25-game winning streak, which includes a national championship from last year. They currently lead the nation in 20 different stat categories. That's insane. This program is really, really, really good. Also, their defense has scored 24 points. It's 11 more than the Bison's opponents have scored on offense combined. So we broke down some definite things to watch. Kicker Dax Jaggers. We talked about special teams. Kicker Dax Jaggers is going to be a factor in this game. We saw him have a record-breaking performance this past Saturday against ECU. 2 field goals, 4 extra points, but he made a 60-yard field goal with 5 seconds left in the first half. This is the second longest ever in Great American Conference history and was the longest in Ouachita history. But big time game. Ouachita is now 16 consecutive seasons. That's the longest in the state, folks. Nobody's done that. 16 consecutive winning seasons. Big time ball game, man. Big time ball game. Everybody's going to be watching it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be one that, if you're not ready for it, kickoff's at 7 p.m. from Cliff Harris Stadium. And if you're not ready for it, this could turn out to be the game of the year, not only in the Great American Conference, but also in Division II football. With all that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some NHL as we talk all things NHL hockey and St. Louis Blues. Coming up right here on the Sports Buffet on the 4 Star Sports Media Network. All right, folks, welcome back. Man, I'm telling you, folks, if you want a college football game, there's a lot of good ones on Saturday. I understand. But if you want a football game and not a lot of people are talking about on a national level, honestly, not a lot of people are even really talking about on an Arkansas level, probably. That's the one. Arkansas has got a big game in Division II. It's going to be a lot of fun. But let's jump over. Let's take a skate around the NHL as we look at some scores from last night around the league. It was a exciting night over in the NHL. And when you look at it, we start with the LA Kings as they would take on the Montreal Canadians and get the win 4-1. The Devils will get a win 3-1 over Ottawa. Tampa Bay Lightning would get a 4-3 win over the Vegas Knights. Vancouver would get a 3-2 overtime win over the Florida Panthers. And we would see the Washington Capitals knock off the Dallas Stars for the first time in 2024 as Dallas falls 3-2 to Washington on the road. We would see Columbus Blue Jackets get a big home win over the Buffalo Sabres 6-4. New York Rangers would go on the road and take on a Detroit Red Wings team and come away with a 5-1 win. Edmonton would go on the road and knock off Nashville, a final score of 4-2. We would see Seattle get a big home win as the Kraken would knock off the Flyers 6-4 last night. Chicago would get a big win over the Sharks at home by a final score of 4-2. When you look around the league at standings, you look at it right now, the New Jersey Devils are currently sitting atop the Eastern Conference with a record of 5-2 on the year. One of the very few undefeated teams that are left. The New York Rangers sit second. Florida Panthers sit third. They're sitting at 3-2. Another undefeated team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, sit fourth, and the Toronto Maple Leafs round out the top five, sitting at 3-1 on the year. When you look at it on the Western Conference side of things, like I said, not a lot of undefeated teams left, but one of them is the Calgary Flames, who come in at 4-0. Aforementioned Dallas Stars, who took a loss last night. They're now 4-1, sitting in second place early in the season in the Western Conference. The Utah Hockey Club, yes, folks, I did say Utah Hockey Club, is currently sitting at 3-1-1, 7 points on the year, sitting in third place right now in the Western Conference. The Winnipeg Jets, undefeated Winnipeg Jets, as they're soaring through the league so far, 3-0 on the year. And the Minnesota Wild, 2-0-2 now on the year as they round out the top five. So when you look at it, there is only 5 teams left undefeated in the NHL season, and they are slowly dwindling week by week. But when you look at the teams who have not won games so far, this is really surprising to me. So you look, Colorado Avalanche currently sitting at 0-4 on the season. The Nashville Predators currently sitting at 0-4 on the season. The San Jose Sharks currently sitting at 0-2 on the season. And then you look at it on the other side, that's it. There's only 3 teams who have not won a game so far, and they are all out of the Western Conference of the NHL. So big time stuff. Big time stuff, man. The NHL is a lot of fun. If you guys don't watch the NHL, honestly, you're really missing out. You're really missing out because the NHL is a blast to watch. When you look around the league, you look at storylines as we would see Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli both put up points to help their clubs win in the first home win of the season. Luke Schenn was skated in his 1,000th NHL career game and can achieve a league first later this year with his brother Braden Schenn, who's a St. Louis Blue. We would see longest multi-point streak to start the season is still active as Artemi Panarin, a New York Ranger, is currently sitting at 4 games played as he scored a point in every game. The Lightning would have a massive, massive comeback in the final 3 minutes of their win in regulation for just a third time. They would mount a comeback in the final 3 minutes. It's the third time in franchise history. They did it in December 21st of 2021 with a 3-2 win at Montreal, and they did it in December 13th of 1995 with a 3-2 win at Hartford. So big time stuff, man. There's a lot of fun stuff going all the way around the league. And you look at it from a St. Louis Blues perspective, and you see Francie Joseph and France Talon cheer on their sons, Matthew and Pierre Oliver, who are the 7th set of siblings to play together, a game together for the St. Louis Blues. They were at the game, a home game last night, watching the Blues play. And speaking of the Blues, currently they sit in 9th place in the Western Conference. I understand it's early. Sit in 9th place with a 3-2 record. And you look at them last night, 1-0 win at home big time 1-0 win at home over the New York Islanders. And we would hear from some Blues in postgame. We would hear from head coach Drew Bannister. We would hear from goalie Joel Hofer, who last night, listen to this stat line, folks. He got a shutout, okay? 34 shots, 3 power plays, one shorthanded. Incredible stuff from him last night, and he's playing great. When you look at shots on goal, first at the end of the first period, the Blues were down 7-6 on shots. Second period was even, 14-14. Third period, the Blues were outshot 10-8, and then in overtime, the Blues were outshot again 3-2. They were outshot 34-30 at the end of the game. When you look at it from team stat perspective, both teams had 5 takeaways. The Islanders blocked 21 shots last night. Incredible stuff from them. Penalty minutes, the Blues got to clean that up too. Blues had some pivotal moments last night when you looked up and there was guys in the box for 4-minute minors in numerous times last night. But Blues had 6 minutes last night in the penalty box. You can't do that. It's a lot of time in the box compared to 4 for sure. That's 2 more minutes of power play opportunities for the opposing team. Blues played physical last night, 30 hits compared to 23, and they had 1 less takeaway at 12 compared to 13. But big time win last night. When you look at it on the penalty side of things, Matthew Joseph had a hooking penalty at the 5:02 mark of the second period. Pierre Joseph, or Pierre Oliver Joseph, sorry, P.O. Joseph, had a high sticking in the second as well. And then you look at it in the Jake Neighbors. We'll talk about him in a minute, but he had a roughing penalty with 2 minutes to go 2-minute mark in the third period. When you look at it from the Blues last night, big time stuff. Braden Shen, I thought, played well. 6-14 from the faceoffs, 42.9%. Robert Thomas continues to play well when it comes to faceoffs. He came into the game last night averaging a 70% faceoff win percentage, which was first in the league. And last night he was 11-21 on faceoffs, 52.4%. And he was on the ice for 22 minutes and 59 seconds. No goals last night, obviously, but the only goal came from Jake Neighbors' big time goal in the overtime period. And we heard from the goalie last night. So let's hear what he had to say on the game last
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good question. Definitely not in the NHL, I don't think. I'll take it, though.
On that pass to Broberg, what are you seeing trying to make it off the course there?
I just saw how their guy was kind of poaching in a little bit, and I saw Broby kind of making his way to the ozone. So just trying to bypass forward. That's really all I'm trying to do.
You looked like you were trying a number of times when you would receive the puck. You looked like you were wanting to get it and go with it pretty quickly tonight.
Yeah, trying to just make plays quick. Try to get it to the D as much as I can. Give them as much time and space as I can get them, and just try to help them out any way I can.
Did you just feel comfortable tonight from the start?
Yeah,
a lot of rebounds, swallowing.
Yeah, it felt good. Thought I stayed present throughout the game. I had a lot of fun. That was a big thing. Those are fun games to be a part of. Those tight games against a good team. So it's huge to get those 2 points.
When you see the other guy down at the other end, one of the better ones.
So you hear from Joel last night. Incredible win last night. I don't know if you heard him, but he talked about how he visualized that last goal. Now, speaking of the last goal, let's hear what Jake Neighbors had to say following a game winner last night in overtime thriller.
You said if you stick with it, it would be coming. Just take us through the play.
Yeah, I mean, just a great read by Holf. He's so good at playing the puck, and obviously saw we had numbers up the ice, and made a great play to Broby. I just tried to drive through that D-man. I think Sauter was off my backside there, and Broby made a great read, laid one in there for me. So.
I think you had it earlier when that puck was on the goal line in the third period, I think.
Yeah, it's just that's got to go in, right? But, that's just kind of how it was going for me. I was fighting it a little bit, and, obviously that one was frustrating, but moved past it. Thought we had a lot of good shifts as a line after that, and towards the end of the game, and happy I can contribute at the end there.
It's a tough team to crack. Did you guys just have to stay patient tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Islanders hockey. They make it so hard to get to the inside and get good looks. But honestly, I thought throughout the 60 minutes we had a lot of great chances and wore them down over time. And it was a good effort by our group, and obviously happy to get 2 points.
We're seeing us both in net tonight, not playing the puck, just in net.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, he's so locked in, and I think just his routine on game days, on practice days, how he approaches every day at the rink, it's fun to watch him. He's really locked in, and he wants to be the best he can be. So, there's no surprises there with how he played today. He was outstanding, and a nice little apple at the end for him, top it off. So.
You know how good he is at playing the puck. Is it almost kind of natural for you forwards to want to just take off and want to cheat because he can make that outlet pass?
Yeah, I mean, he's always looking, so you kind of lock eyes with him, and he's going to send it up there. So it's just about being available for him, and he's always noticing when teams are changing, and he can quick one up. So he likes his cookies just as much as players do. So he's always looking to send some guys in on odd man rushes.
Is that from warm up tonight?
Yeah, I took a puck in warm up. Yeah, Bucci ripped one off the post and caught me pretty good in the cheek. So, but he fed me a tap in that I missed, and so we're going to call it even.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
That was Jake Neighbors last night following a big Blues win at home in overtime and a thriller as the Blues get their first home win of 2024. When you look at the Blues from a statistical standpoint, currently right now they're averaging 2.6 goals for per game, 2.8 goals against per game. Power play percentage, they're sitting at 22%. Penalty kill percentage, they're sitting at 75%. Shots for per game, they're sitting at 29. Shots against per game, they're sitting at 30. And a face-off percentage of 54.4%. When you look at it from a perspective of that, the Blues are playing pretty well. It's early, I understand that. The season has a lot more to be played. There's a lot of teams that are going to make runs late. We understand all that. But big time stuff last night as we saw the St. Louis Blues get a big win. Let's slide over to the NFL and tackle some odds. Let's look at some spreads. Let's look at some other things around the league. And let's start with the the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The line is currently sitting at 40 or at 6.5. At 6. It opened at 4.5. The over/under opened at 41.5. It's currently sitting at 42.5. John and I talked about a few games earlier in the week, but when you look at lines that are moving around, I mean, the Rams and the Raiders have gone from 5 to now 7. The San Francisco 49ers and Chiefs went from basically a pick 'em to now a 2-point game, which is basically still a pick 'em. Not many other games. I mean, Baltimore and Tampa Bay actually dropped. It went from 4.5 to now 3.5. So you look around the league, and every week we're going to see somebody get upset. It's the NFL. For all we know, Tennessee could walk in and beat Buffalo this week. Tennessee's 1-4 coming into a 4-2 Buffalo team. Right now, the Jaguars and Patriots, that's a battle of who doesn't want to finish last. You look around the league. I mean, Nick Sirianni, is he going to continue to go after his own fans? I mean, I know they're on the road this week, but is he going to continue to go after their own fans? Week by week, they're 3-2, and it's a must win for them. They've got to get a win this week, and against a Giants team that's even more begging for a win. I think Houston Green Bay is a hell of a matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun. Detroit, Minnesota, obviously 4-1. Detroit coming into a 5-0 Minnesota team. What is happening in Cincinnati and Cleveland? Who knows? Cincinnati's 2-4. Cleveland comes in at 1-5 on the year. The Colts, after a big win against Tennessee this week, can look to get another big win and come out 4-3 after what they hope to be a win against Miami. 5-0 Kansas City against 3-3 San Francisco. Is San Francisco gonna get things going? And then the Steelers and the Jets. Can the Steelers put away the Jets? or will the Jets continue? I mean, they got Devontae Adams now, so will he be a factor, or will it be the same old JETS Jets, Jets, Jets? All these questions are going to be answered. I mean, Washington. I think the Washington Commanders are a team you got to look out for. I know we talked about it earlier. I love the coach, love the quarterback. Offensively, they're really talented. Defensively, they've got a lot of talent on that side of the ball too. But they've got to make sure that they can stop teams. That's something that Cliff Kingsbury has always kind of concerned me with a little bit. So, but you look around the league, big time stuff. I mean, right now they got Super Bowl odds winners at Kansas City at plus 450. San Francisco comes in at plus 700. Detroit comes in at plus 750. Big time stuff. So if you're a Washington fan, speaking of that, they're plus 4,000 right now to win the Super Bowl. So Chicago is a plus 5,000. So if you want to throw some money on them, feel free. But yeah, no, a lot of fun, a lot of fun. The NFL's back in action, week 7, as we're slowly creeping around to playoff time. Speaking of playoffs, we saw an incredible baseball game last night in the MLB. As we saw Cleveland come back, they were down 5-3 in the bottom of the ninth when Joe Noel would hit a 2-run home run. I mean, a beautiful moment last night. Sent it and then just chunked the bat and gangster walked off on them. I love it. Incredible stuff. And then Cleveland would come back in the 10th, tied up 5-5, runner on third, 1-2 count. Holmes was at the mound, had just gotten on the mound actually, and Fry sends an absolute moonshot into the air in Cleveland as the Guardian fans would go absolutely berserk. He stomped it off. I love it. Big time win for Cleveland last night, and you can't sleep on this Cleveland team. You can't do it. I picked them. I picked them to win the series, and they're currently sitting at 2-1, and need another big win. They're the sixth team in MLB postseason history with a game-tying home run in the ninth and a walk-off and extra innings in the same game. So the comeback Guardians. I almost called them something else. I'm gonna get in trouble. But the comeback Guardians with a big win last night, and then we would also, to close the show, we would see some news come across. We put it out as soon as we got word on it too. But um, the University of Virginia would announce yesterday that men's head basketball coach Tony Bennett is stepping down. The press conference is actually getting ready. It's starting now. But that's big time stuff, man. Virginia, that now opens up a 30-day portal window for them, so their players are able to move as they please. It's couldn't have come at a worse time, to be honest with you. But very interesting to see what comes of this, as far as will we hear why he stepped down? Who will be next in line to fill that spot? So Tony Bennett, incredible basketball coach, did great things at the University of Virginia. I know Memphis athletic director Ed Scott and he are very close as well. But big time stuff. I mean, when you look at it on a national landscape in all athletic sports, not just football, basketball, but all athletic sports, NIL is a factor. NIL is a factor in every single sport around this country. And I don't know, but I mean, this could have been a NIL factor. Who knows? But um, we'll find out today when we hear from Tony Bennett, hopefully. So, but big time stuff. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. Like I said, if you guys want to watch a really good football game this weekend, check out Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Go to YouTube and look up the Ouachita football, and they will pull up Rex Nelson. We had an article out on Rex recently, but Rex Nelson in his 40th season, at 41st now at the helm, as the voice of the Ouachita Tigers. But Rex does an incredible job. Head on over there Saturday night, 7 p.m. and take a listen to him, man. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. He paints a beautiful picture week in and week out. But Ouachita gets a visit from number one Harding. So that's a top 10 D2 matchup. Definitely one to watch. We enjoyed breaking it down, and we will have more on the game coming up as well. And then also we took a little skate around the NHL. The Blues got a big win. Heard from some Blues players as well. But no, big time stuff, man. I appreciate all y'all coming in and taking a listen, taking a watch. Feel free to share if you enjoy the show. If you enjoy our content, feel free to share. Head over to 4star.live now. That's our website where we compile all of our multimedia journalism that we have here at 4 Star Sports Media. We got articles, we got podcasts, and more. So fun stuff, man. A lot of fun stuff. Just keep on keeping on with us, man. We are having fun doing this. We're growing week in, week out, and we enjoy growing and covering different sports for you guys as well. And that's why we have the sports buffet. It's a little of this, it's a little of that, but you always leave the buffet full of sports. Have a good night, guys, and as always, stay classy.